we don't have the luxury of not being excellent. Are you going to make mistakes as a business? Absolutely.
Hmm.
But you should be striving towards excellence. Don't strive towards mediocrity and then say, but give me money because I'm black, but I'm mediocre. Hell no. You got to be excellent. I need you to do your best to be as close to excellent as possible.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Mind Rehab podcast. I'm your host, Jameen Willis. The Mind Rehab podcast is all about the process of taking negative, self defeating thoughts, actions, and emotions and replacing them with thoughts, actions, and emotions that are positive and true. I know what you're thinking. Where y'all been at? We took some time to regroup with everything that's been going on with COVID 19 and here recently now protests with the death of George Floyd. And we just took a time to stop and revamp and to focus on what we really want to put forward, what do people really need, and what do people really want to hear. So today's episode is called What Can We Do? Um, so to just bring everybody up to speed, um, today we're going to talk about what can we do. Right now we are just coming out of COVID-19 and coronavirus, and things are opening back up here where we live in Las Vegas. Casinos are starting to open back up, and as soon as we get ready to open back up, we had the death of George Floyd, who died at the hands of a police officer. And so we have protests going on now. And so I wanted to focus today on what can we do. And so I brought on a special guest for today, good brother, good friend of mine, Alan Woods. Um, I wanted to bring him on the podcast to get his point of view as an entrepreneur, as a community leader, and just a fellow Black man. So thanks for coming on the podcast today, Alan. How you doing today?
Hey, thanks for having me, man. I'm alive, man. I can't even complain because it could be much worse. So I'm here, which means that I still got another day, another opportunity to do my part in changing the world. So yeah, I'm not doing great, but I'm here, man.
Yeah,
That's the start.
yeah. I feel the same way, man. And so, for the people who don't know who Alan Woods is, I would introduce him, but I'm gonna allow him to reintroduce himself, as Jay Z said. Um, Alan is a good friend of mine. Of course, I know who he is. I've actually been a part of a lot of things that he has going on. So we know each other, work with each other on a professional level and also a personal level. But for those who don't know who you are, just introduce yourself and let people know a little bit more about you and things that you do in the community, things that you do with entrepreneurship, and let the good people know who you are.
All right, yeah. My name is Alan Woods. I'm just a kid from Naptown, born and raised in Indianapolis, Indiana, and currently living in Cincinnati, Ohio. So I am a lifetime Midwesterner, and I am a husband, I'm a father, I'm a son, I'm an entrepreneur, social activist, and I actually have a nonprofit that I co founded, and I'm the executive director as well. That nonprofit is called Mortar, Mortar. And what we do is we actually teach entrepreneurship in Black communities. The majority of our participants are Black, majority of our participants are women, so we are 100% supporting Black women in their endeavors to become entrepreneurs. But ultimately, our goal is we wanted to create a business that would help people who have systemic obstacles or challenges in their journey or have a background in poverty or whatever the case is. We wanted to make sure that we were creating something that would help them to be able to start their own businesses or to take their business to the next level. So we get a lot of people who have either a great idea for a business or they've already started in some capacity and they're ready to kind of legitimize their business or take it to the next level, get to the point where they're paying taxes and able to, get contracts and things on a larger scale. So they come to us for a 15-week accelerator program that kind of takes them through that process. We walk them through that. We wrote our own culturally competent curriculum a couple years ago, and it's enabled us to be able to not only operate in Cincinnati, but we've actually expanded to Milwaukee, to Kansas City, Missouri. We recently signed on in Akron, Ohio. Shout out to LeBron. Anybody who knows LeBron, tell him to holler at me. And then we'll be going to Indianapolis in 2021. So that's new. We
Okay.
just signed that contract. Yeah, man, I'm going back to the crib.
Congrats.
I'm moving back, but I'm going back.
Congrats.
So yeah, man, we're going back home. So I get to go to the same neighborhoods that I used to walk through. I get to go to the neighborhood where at 18 I was robbed at gunpoint with way too much money in my pocket because it was my first day moving into my apartment, and I was on my way to get a money order, man. So I'm ready to take it back to the block, and it's gonna be interesting to be back. But I got love for my city, and I got love for the people in that city, and we're just really trying to do whatever we can to empower people who look like us, people who think like us, people who are ready to start the economic revolution. And so that's what I do every day, man. So I am excited to wake up every day. I'm also an artist, so I used to do spoken word. Don't really do it anymore, but I'm still a writer. I actually just wrote a piece today that is called "I'm Not Okay," and I don't know what to say. And it's just a lot happening. I'm also a photographer, so this piece that I wrote actually includes some of my photography as well. I started taking pictures when I was 12. I met Gordon Parks as a kid and changed my life. And a lot of the things that have inspired my journey, come from him. A lot of the things that he did and said and uh, did with his camera inspire me. There's actually a quote that I put in the piece that I wrote today, and he said that I saw the camera could be a weapon against poverty, against racism, against all sorts of social wrongs. I knew at that point I had to have a camera. And so in thinking of that, I use my camera as my weapon against a lot of those other things. He has another quote where he was actually talking to Stokely Carmichael from the Black Panthers, and he was like, in your lap you got a 9mm, in my lap I got a 35mm, and both of our weapons, can change the environment that we live in. And
Yeah.
so I carry both. so so I'm trying to do twice the work.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome, man, and that's why I wanted to bring you on a podcast because as we're talking about what we can do, you had something that inspired you, whether it was a camera or Gordon Parks, and myself, I grew up and I saw my uncle, I saw a Black man be a realtor, own a business, and that inspired me. So as Gordon Parks inspired you to get into photography, my uncle inspired me to get into real estate. And so you're doing something with something that you're interested in, something that you're talented in. And that's why I wanted to, talk about what can we actually do. I just want to salute you, man. I appreciate everything that you're doing for the community, everything that that you've done with Mortar. Of course, I had the opportunity to serve as a facilitator for a few years in Cincinnati before we relocated to Las Vegas. And I'm working on, doing my part and what can I do here in Las Vegas and the city of Henderson where we live at. So yeah, man, I just salute everything that you're doing. Of course, we salute you, support everything that's going on. And yeah, man, that's what it's all about. So today I wanted to talk about what can we do. It's easy to shake our head. It's easy
Yeah.
to be angry. And man, to be honest with you, like this whole week, man, I've been kind of feeling like almost like depressed because it's like I felt like I was kind of living in denial a little bit because it was
Yeah.
like very rarely in my life have I encountered discrimination or hate or something like that directly at me,
Yeah.
but it's the systematic racism that I've been affected by my whole career. And it's stuff
Yeah.
that you don't think about because it's not in your face. So, just like George Floyd, when that police officer was on his neck, I felt like have been choked in business with being an entrepreneur, whether it was opportunities that I didn't get or losing business, losing clients because of my race or losing clients because of the color of my skin. And
Hmm.
I look at it as twofold. Part of it is the systematic racism, but the
Right.
other part of it is, man, we just got to have more unity. We got to support each other a lot more. And I can't forget the video I saw it on, but it's just like a lot of times we don't have a finance problem, we have a support problem. So I give you
Hmm.
an example. If 10 people came to me in the month of June and bought a house from me, I could take a third of the money that I got from those sales and bought a rental property. So I could take that money, didn't need to get a loan, didn't need to go to a bank, didn't need to ask for a grant. I could
Hmm.
use that money from support from the community and buy a rental property. So as I bought a rental property, I can employ contractors, minority contractors. I can put somebody who goes from uh, government housing or Section 8 housing into a home. I can hire a landscaper to cut grass. And then that person that moves in there, they can go spend their money at a hardware store. And so the cycle can go on. But
Hmm.
so a lot of times we look at it as the need. We can't do this because we can't get a loan or we can't get finance. And sometimes that's true. But a lot of times, if we support each other, we don't need the need to get all that financing is not there or is extremely lowered or lessened
Hmm.
just by supporting each other. But man, this week I just been like, I had to stop and think like, why do I feel so bad? Because this is not new.
Right.
This is just, I don't know if people have been locked in the house or been shut up by COVID-19, but from Cincinnati to all over, like this is something that I just looked at and said, yeah, here's another instance, here's another situation, here's another person. But this time I really felt it, man. Like I felt it
Yeah.
like I've almost never felt it before. And a lot of times I feel like as men, we have to be strong or you can't let it get to you too much because if you get angry, you'll go out and do something
Right.
stupid or something that will harm you or harm your family or harm the cause of unity and supporting each other and things like that. And so, man, I just took time to focus on like, man, what can I do as an individual? What can we do with my family, with me and my wife, and what can we do as Black men, and what can we do as a community? So I had a couple questions that I just kind of wanted to ask you from
Okay.
your point of view. From
Before you go to that, I just want to respond to what you said. I think that like I'm 100% same felt the same way, and I think that the difference this time we've seen people get beat on camera. You know what I mean? I was telling somebody the other day, like I was in high school when, during the LA riots, so I'm telling my age now, like, so we saw it. We've seen people get shot on camera. We've seen, 15 people, get on top of Eric Garner. We've seen Tamir Rice, get rolled up on and shot within like 2 seconds. We've seen a lot of people get shot. But the difference with this one, I think, was watching somebody position themselves, one person, position themselves on top of somebody in a way that they knew was going to drain the life out of this person, um, and they took the time. You know what I mean? Like it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't something that happened real quick. Cause like with Eric, it happened kind of quick. You
Mm-hmm.
know, we talking about like 9 minutes, like 9 minutes. At one of the protests I went to the other day, they had us kneel, and they were like, you know, we're gonna have everybody kneel for 9 minutes. And this 43-year-old knees, man, I couldn't kneel for 9 minutes. And I
Mm-hmm.
was just thinking, 9 minutes is a really long time.
Oh yeah.
A
9 minutes
really
is a
long
long
time.
time to get into a fight.
Right, right,
A fight
right.
was over in 3-4 minutes.
9 minutes, 9 minutes. That's 3 rounds.
Right.
9 minutes,
Yeah.
9 minutes. So I'm like, so I think that that's part of why this one felt so heavy for so many people. And it's like, dude had to be some type of like psychopath, sociopath, something like you've done this before to animals, to people, to something like you just, this is just not normal behavior.
Right.
Like in the hood, you could get in a fight. Like you said, you get in a fight, nobody's kneeling on your neck for 9 minutes, man. Like that's just like some cold, like that's next level stuff, man. We ain't never seen nothing like that, you know, just watching it. Like
Yeah.
they wouldn't even put something like that in a movie because it would be unrealistic.
Yeah.
They'd be like, no, nobody would do that for 9 minutes. You know what I mean? So I think that seeing it and understanding that no, this is something real was the thing. I think that that was the thing that really ignited everything. And because this has been building up, man, you know, it's just like it's a lot, and you just don't know how to process all of it. And you know, it's just the devaluing of Black lives and Black bodies and Black men and Black women and Black children, and it's just like it's crazy that we were brought to this country to be sold because at least then they saw some value. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then to get to the point where you talking about this dude may or may not have passed a fake 20. So his body's not even worth $20,
Mm-hmm.
let alone a fake $20 bill. You know what I mean? So what's the value of a fake $20 bill? It's just the paper that it's on, which is
Mm-hmm.
less than, I mean, you talking about like 50 cents. So his life wasn't even worth 50 cents.
It's crazy, man.
It's crazy, man. Like, so I think that that was ultimately what ignited everybody. And you know, we've been sitting back and watching and talking and typing and doing all this other stuff, and it was just like, yo, it was time for some other stuff. So
Yeah.
that's my take on it.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I was watching a video and it was a MMA fighter. And he was saying, like, man, that's one of the worst things that you can do is kneel and put all your weight on somebody's neck.
Yeah,
And MMA fighters, I don't even really rock with MMA all like that because it's just like brutal. It's just like shack out,
yeah,
shack out,
yeah,
shack
yeah, yeah.
out. You know what I mean?
No
I like more.
compassion whatsoever. Yeah, and
Yeah, I
for
like.
somebody who's in the sport that has the least compassion,
Yeah,
being like, nah, that's the worst thing you could do. You
yeah,
know?
man. Yeah, that's just crazy, man. And the difference is, okay, if somebody breaks the law, let the penalties of that law that they broke match up
Yep.
with it. You know what I'm saying? I look at I forget his name right now. I really don't care what his name is. But the guy who went into the church and shot the people up in the church,
Yeah.
man, they
Yeah.
put him into the police car so gingerly and nicely
Hmm.
and
He the one they took the Burger King, right?
took him to Burger King. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
man. Homie got it. He had it his way, and then went on to jail. And then like it's just, and that's the thing, you know, that's the thing for me is that the way that the law is set up is designed to give several different people an opportunity to be a part of the process.
Hmm.
Person, you know what I mean? So you got a judge, you got the prosecution, you got the defense, you got the jury. If you have a jury, you have multiple people who are a part of the process. But then in this instance, and in cases like this, the police are making decisions that they are all of those people wrapped in one. and even more than that, that they're God, man. Like I'm just out here. I'm gonna take your life because I don't think that you should have did whatever you did. I don't care if the man gave a counterfeit 20 or not. I don't care what he did. Like, take him to jail, let him have his due process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's nothing that can excuse that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And it's just that's not the oath that police officers take, man. And it's just like it's just some other thing where they've become this gang that is terrorizing the citizens, and in some cities disarming the citizens and then terrorizing them. I mean,
Yeah.
so if you look at like New York, for example, man, that's a whole different breed of police department. And then you can't have handguns either. So it's like, so I'm gonna disarm you, and
Right.
then I'm gonna manipulate you. I'm gonna do everything I can to you. I'm gonna stop you. I'm gonna frisk you. I'm gonna beat you up in the street. I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna get off every time. And man, it's just become this huge game that a lot of people are really fearful of because you just don't know if you're gonna make it home, man. And ultimately, when you become somebody who has to take care of more than just yourself, when you leave the house, that's the concern,
Yeah.
is am I gonna make it back? Is this the last time I'm gonna see my wife? Is this the last time I'm gonna see my kids? Are all those projects that are sitting on my desk go never get completed? All the dreams that I had never gonna come to fruition. All the film I got in my camera never gonna get developed. Like all of that stuff, man. Every time you walk out the house, you just went to the store to grab bread, and
Yeah.
you might lose your life
Yeah.
and not come back with no bread. It's just like it's just crazy, man. And it's like it almost makes you want to just sit in the house.
Mm-hmm.
That is not the life that God has intended for us to be fearful and become hermits because this is the only way that we can stay alive is if they don't know that we exist. If we hide out like we Anne Frank up in somebody's attic, we hide because these people can just come kill us at any time. That's what it feels like. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's one of the things that I want to talk about, man, and talk about like you know, what if like Martin Luther King didn't get assassinated? What if Malcolm
Right.
X didn't get assassinated? Would the world be a different place? Like, what would it actually be like? What would it actually look like if those guys didn't get assassinated? But the thing is, like, talking about equality and like a little later on, I want to talk about feeling inferior. Um,
Mhm.
a lot of times it's like we have the right to live a good quality of life, and it's like, what things do we need to put in place to live a good quality of life? And I mean, that's really what I'm about, man. It's like, man, if I only got like 24 hours, if I only got 48 more hours, it's like now I feel this sense of urgency, like, man, I have to make sure that I'm checking this off, that I'm fulfilling this
Mhm.
purpose, that I'm leaving this behind, because like now it's like super duper like in your face, like, man, you really don't know, like you don't have time to lollygag, you don't have time to procrastinate, because it's like now like our lives, I feel like more of a sense of like my life, I got to do something that's bigger than me, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's more than leaving a legacy of inheritance. Like we really have a responsibility to make the world better than it was when before, man. So I got a couple questions, man. So
Yeah.
from an entrepreneurial and business point of view, it's just a general statement, man. What can we do? Me and my wife, we sat down and we're actually going to go through today is actually write a list of things that we are passionate about, that we have the power, the ability, the control to do right now. Because it's like, man, we can't just shake our heads, say another one, or wait for the next injustice
Mhm.
or deal with it. Like, I mean, we tired, man. That's the thing. It's like so tired, man. It's just like exhausting. So it's like from an entrepreneurial point of view, with you being involved in nonprofits, helping entrepreneurs, what can we do about the state of our society right now, the Black experience right now?
Man, there's so many things. I think to start, it's to not give up. That's the first thing. Is to understand that there is something there's some action, as long as you're here, there's some action that you can do that can benefit the movement, that can benefit the Black economy. So the first thing is for what Black businesses can do better is to step the game up. Understand that because you're a Black business it is not enough reason for me to give you my money. Do I want to support Black businesses? Absolutely. Am I going to take money off of my girls' plates to give you money because you're Black? No.
Right.
If you're providing quality service in a timely manner that is a service that I need, then yeah, I will give you my money first. I'm gonna reach out. I'm looking right now. I need to get we need to get our roof replaced. Well, not replaced, but we got a little leak. And so I'm like, all right, got to start with the Black owned, roofing company. That's the first look, So I think that's one of the things we can do is we can look there first. So once we figure out what our problem is or our need is, look for that person first. But you got to vet them, like you would anybody, like anybody who's coming to my home. This is my home.
Right.
I made an investment in this place. This is where I want to be. And anybody who comes into my home, I have to do some vetting and make sure that you're the right person. And then I'll give you my money. I might even pay you a little bit more if it's Black owned because I do want to support a Black owned business. But I've been places where people have asked. I was in the mall one day and this guy, I had, I'm in the shoes. So this guy saw my shoes and he was like, selling this product. He's like, yo, I got this brush and this foam and this whatever that you could use to clean your shoes. I was like, I'm good. I already got something that, I use for my shoes or whatever. And he was like, well, can you support just because, I'm Black? And I was like, no, because I don't need your product. I hear what you're saying, but I don't need that right now. And the thing is, as a Black man who makes decisions with his money every day, like if I give you money for a product that I don't need, that's money that I didn't invest in the stock market. That's money that I didn't invest in whatever tool I need to get my yard looking like I need it to look so I can increase the value of my property. That's money that I didn't use for whatever the thing is that I actually really want, or the thing that my wife actually really wants, or the meal that she actually really needs, so I make decisions with my dollars every day. So that's the other thing we can do is when we're making decisions, make decisions with your dollars. Make sure that your business, if you're running a business, make sure you're running a great business. We don't have the luxury of not being excellent. Are you going to make mistakes as a business? Absolutely. But you should be striving towards excellence. Don't strive towards mediocrity and then say, but give me money because I'm Black, but I'm mediocre. Hell no. You got to be excellent. I need you to do your best to be as close to excellent as possible. It's the same thing with every other place that we operate in society. We got to do twice as much to get half as far, but I'm going to do what I can to give you the money that you are asking for. That's the other thing. Pay the price. Stop asking people for discounts.
Now, what about this? What about this?
Yeah.
As entrepreneurs,
yeah,
if we support each other more, let's say if I got my stuff together, I see somebody that's quality, that's doing stuff right. If we support each other more, do you feel like that can combat the working twice as hard to get, half as much? Like, I don't feel like we should have to, that shouldn't be a reality of the Black.
So here's the thing.
Or the minority.
I hope I'm not jumping too far ahead in the conversation.
Yeah.
But we could talk all day, but this is what you have to understand about segregation and integration. When we were segregated, we would go somewhere and we would have delicious coffee. And it was amazing. And we sat with people who looked like us and we had great conversations and we drank our coffee and then we went on about our day. But then in 1941, I believe it was 40, we went in Greensboro, February 1st, we went to stage the first sit-in at Woolworths. We wanted the right to be able to go and drink the white man's coffee, which is fine. But what we did wrong is when we were given the ability to drink somebody else's coffee, we completely turned our backs on the coffee that we've been drinking for our whole lives.
Yeah.
So what that did to the Black economy was now that coffee shop had all of its customers. Let's say it had 50 customers a day. If
Hmm.
all 50 of your customers are now racing out to buy white coffee, who's drinking black coffee? Because the white community is not racing into your neighborhood to drink your coffee.
Facts.
So now you have an unequal, an unbalanced economy because now you're like, well, I'm gonna drink your coffee even if you don't want me to drink your coffee, and I'm gonna give you my money. You're gonna take my money, and then
Hmm.
where does that leave the Black businesses who are standing there who've been supporting you the whole time? They
Right.
sit there like, but you ain't gonna drink my coffee. I can't get your money. I've been working hard to get your money, and now I can't get your money anymore. And so I think maybe that's where the notion of is, well, shoot, now my coffee got to be twice as much. Like my coffee got to be, I got to give you a cup that's twice as big because maybe that'll make you stay and make you give your money to me. So maybe that's where the notion came from. Do I agree that it should be that way? No, but I think in an integrated society, that has been what it's become. We can't compete with the Amazon. When you think of all the people who go and buy stuff on Amazon that they could have tried to really, really hard to find a Black business that provided that same exact product, but it probably is going to cost more. You're probably not going to get it as fast. And we want everything right now. That is one of the things that has hurt our community and hurt our business.
Mm. So let's get to that question, man. That's one of the
Yeah.
things that I've been talking to. I've been talking to some of my family members. I've been talking to my wife. Some people say it may be better or better to be or to go back to segregation because if you're segregated, see the difference was like I had a conversation with my grandmother. My grandmother is 85 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Walk 3 miles to go to school, raggedy desks, books, cardboard, look like cardboard instead of hardback. The difference is back in the days, like if you take a segregated school, the black schools had the books with graffiti in them, gum in them, outdated books. But if
Mm-hmm.
we were segregated, it's like we have the same level of education, the same books, the same finances, but you don't have to deal with the racism. Some people say it's better to go back to segregation because you don't have to deal with the racism. And like, I give an example, like here in Las Vegas, I went to go visit Floyd Mayweather's gym. They wouldn't let me in. But that's not the point. That's not the point. You know, not mad about it. But where Floyd Mayweather's gym is, they call it Chinatown. So it's like probably like a 3 mile stretch to where it's nothing but Chinese businesses. And they have just about every business you can think of: insurance
Mm-hmm.
company, Chinese food, club, hookah, real estate places, just about every business, and they support each other, and it's to a certain extent it's kind of like segregated. They support each other. So
Yeah.
do you feel like, I mean, who knows if it could actually happen, but what are your views on segregation? Do you feel like we would be better off, or it would always be some type of inequality, or is the world too integrated, like with racial marriages and things like that? What how do you feel about that?
So economically, I think that we need to support Black businesses. I think that, you know, I love living in a community with Black people. My community has become more and more integrated slash gentrified since I've been here for the last couple of years.
Hmm.
Um, but one of the things that I love is that there are a lot of Black businesses over here. There's a lot of Black um, like restaurants, and my business actually is in the same neighborhood. I'm in Walnut Hills in Cincinnati. And I've done a lot of research on what Walnut Hills used to be and what it has become and what it has the potential to be. And so, for me, I would love to see more Black businesses come to this area. And I would love to, continue to support those Black businesses. Now, if there was a thing, I mean, like, there, there's no safety in segregation, to be perfectly honest. I
Hmm.
mean, this is a country that the last it sends a lot of warnings. You know, when you think of Tulsa, Oklahoma, I mean, we talking about an entire neighborhood, Greenwood, destroyed,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like they were thriving. People didn't want to come back and see you thriving. People. It was a lot of people who wasn't winning like they were in Black Wall Street, and they came back and I was like, "What y'all got the nerve to be over here looking good and feeling good and doing well?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nah, we ain't living for that. Burn all that down. Shoot everybody." So it's like there's no safety in segregation. But had that been an integrated city, you think they would have went in there and did the same thing because they would have been looking out for their people. So it's kind of like, same thing happened in Philadelphia. You got the government bombing a neighborhood in Philadelphia. Would they have bombed that neighborhood if it had been integrated? Probably not. So
Mm-hmm.
some of the safety comes in their self-preservation, and some of that safety comes in that integration and knowing that, there are people around you who are allies. I don't think that, completely separating ourselves from other people gives you an appropriate worldview either. I mean, like you go to Canada, they figured it out. You know what I mean? Like there's a good mix of people in Canada, even in New York. I mean, like people have figured out a way to live harmoniously in a lot of places,
Mm-hmm.
even throughout the United States. So it's like it's not about us fleeing from other people to create our own thing. It's about the people who have these uh vintage ideas of what America should look like. They
Mm-hmm.
need to go somewhere. So maybe the answer is segregation, but maybe it's them. They need to go off to Wisconsin or go somewhere. Go to Oregon. You can have all of Oregon. You know what I mean? All of Nebraska. How about we just move out of those places? You have the whole state. Y'all can start your own little, part of the United States. We ain't got to come bother you. Just let all of them go together and live their life how they want to live it. I'm good with that, but I'm not going run and hide and do all this other stuff to make other people comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
because there are people who are allies who support and who care about Black lives and who care about Black businesses and support them. So I think that there's a balance between the two.
Mm.
But you can segregate your dollars. You can definitely do that. That's an easy thing to do. Instead of buying Gucci, how about you go buy Pierre Moss, Black man who is out here doing like amazing work. Why don't you go support Virgil? Buy some Off White instead of buying Louis Vuitton. So you
Yeah.
can segregate your dollars, and it makes a bigger difference. Even though Virgil is actually the creative director at Louis Vuitton, think about what happens if you pay for the Off White instead of the Louis Vuitton. You're paying directly to a Black owned business.
Yeah,
So
and we have to do our knowledge too. Like I looked up Rihanna's website yesterday,
mhm.
and man, I was so proud. Man, I went on the Savage Fenty website.
Yeah,
She had it totally blacked out, and she was like, "Nah, we're not doing no business today. We're supporting the Black
that's what's
Lives
up.
Matter and the protest." And I was looking to see, like, man, is she like? I was like looking at it, like, man, is she really the CEO? What percentage of ownership does she have?
Mhm.
And she's like the CEO, and she has like basically 15%. But you got to have distribution, you got to have
Yeah,
manufacturers, and that makes sense. It's just like Kanye West, he gets
yeah,
15% royalties, and he owns 100% of Yeezy, but
right.
you got Adidas and you have the distribution and things like that. And I
Yeah,
started looking like that because when I buy stuff, I try to do nice things, for my wife. I go to Victoria's Secret and I said, man, let me look up Savage Fenty. Let me do that.
yeah,
Let me support that. And I was looking online to see to make sure. And that's one of the things that I'm doing. So speak of like that's something that I'm doing on an individual level. So from black man to black man, like what's our responsibility if we have any responsibility? Uh, what's our responsibility in response to what's going on right now, and what can we do? Um, if anything, to be a part of the change that needs to take place. Like, that's something that I thought of yesterday. And like I said, I'm literally making a list of things that I can do as an individual and we can do as a couple to be part of the change. But do you feel like, one of the reasons why like I relocated was, man, I don't want to feel like I gotta be the poster child for entrepreneurship, or I don't feel like I should have to be Martin Luther King. I feel like I need to be Jamein Willis. You know what I mean? And you can move from blatant racism, but you can't move from systematic racism.
No.
And we still have, I believe, to a certain extent, we just have our part to play. So, what do you think is like our responsibility, or somebody that we should just look and say, man, this is our part that we have to do, or our responsibility? Or do you feel like, man, it's not my job to change the world? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that it's our job to be informed and to inform. That's first and foremost. I think we should do a better job of understanding Black women. That if there's anything that you could do that ultimately helps the future of our people, is to have a better understanding of Black women. So have real conversations with Black women. Listen to Black women. There's a book called Eloquent Rage by Brittany Cooper. The majority of my staff, so we are at Mortar three. We got three co-founders. All of us are Black men, and we hired one Black man other than us. The rest of the staff is all women, all Black women. So you're talking about 75% of our staff Black women. And I was like, all right. So my wife is a Black woman. My daughters, who are 13 and 15 now, will be Black women. I was like, obviously my mom is a Black woman, grandmother's a Black woman. I need to better understand Black women, because Black women are going to be in my life. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So I went and got that book. I got it on Audible, actually, so that I can be, doing my work and listening. And it is an amazing book about Black feminism.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and
Now,
I
what's that book again? So we make sure we got it.
yeah, it's called Eloquent Rage by Brittany Cooper.
Okay.
Um, and it's like her memoir of Black feminism, and that thing is amazing. So that would be the first thing I would suggest, is for Black men to pick up books that are not written by people who are also Black men. We need to pick up more books that are written by Black women, so that we can have a better understanding of what they're thinking, how they're viewing the world. Because when we better understand that, we'll be able to change. Francesca, I don't remember her last name, has a book called That Escalated Quickly. That's on my list of books to read. So I haven't read that one yet, but that's on my list of ones that I'm gonna look into next. There's a book called White Fragility that's also on my list. But I think that part of it is just taking the time to educate ourselves. We take the time to do everything else that um, enhances or makes our lives better in other ways, but we got to find the things that are ultimately going to benefit us, that are going to connect us to Black women in our lives. um, and then we just need to go back to being protectors.
Mm-hmm.
um, so protectors of our family, protectors of our women, protectors of our community. So when we see things that are not happening like they should be, we got to have that voice. We got to be able to pull the young guys to the side and be like, hey man, come on. Like, I mean, hollering at the girls as they walk down the street. Yeah, I get it. She's nice, but stop
Mm-hmm.
harassing women, man. Like, and like when we were coming up, like we had like OGs who would pull us to the side, and I feel like we're not really doing that, for this younger generation.
You
Yeah,
see
they
something, say something.
right. And if you wilding, you gotta be like, look, come on, man. You gotta throw your trash on the ground out here, man. This is our neighborhood. You know,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't care about your neighborhood, who gonna care?
Yeah.
So I think that's the other thing, is that we gotta be more vocal and protective.
Yeah, that's a good point. One of the things that I one of the major changes that I'm going to make is as I look to support other Black-owned businesses and entrepreneurs, man. I tell you a quick story, man. I was rushing to get some gas one time, and I was running late to pick my son up from school, and I was at the gas station over on well, it's a totally different city, but you know, Galbraith, Cincinnati, on Galbraith and Winton. I was at a BP gas station, and I was rushing, man. I didn't want to be late and to pick him up or whatever, and so I was getting gas real quick. And as I was leaving, I like scraped my car up against the telephone pole because Winton and Galveston is like a telephone pole, like real close, like a dumb setup or whatever. So I scraped my car, knocked my mirror off, scraped my door on my car on the driver's side. So I said, man, I'm gonna support Black-owned business, a Black-owned body shop. I asked a couple people for referrals, and I found a body shop that was close to my house. Go to the body shop, and I had an insurance claim with State Farm. So State Farm had given me I went to get my car checked out. They took pictures, did a little report, and I was like, look, I want to get my car repaired. It was close to my house, Black-owned place. It's like, cool, I got you, no problem. So what I did was State Farm gave me a rental car to, while my car was in the shop. So what I did was I took the money that I got from State Farm and I added to it because I was getting ready to go out of town. So I'm like, cool, this would be perfect. While I'm out of town, car be getting fixed, but I paid additional money because I was going out of town and I wanted an SUV. So they only paid for like a standard car or whatever, similar to my car. So I paid for an SUV because I was going out of town. I'm like, come back, car be fixed, cool. So they only gave you a certain amount of money. So I come back from out of town to get my car, two different color. It wasn't even the same color. So like my car was like silver. The paint that they repaired, it was like gray. And I could see like the mud or whatever, the stuff that they used to smooth it over. And I'm like, man, this is clearly like, it's two different, this is like dull gray and my car is like shiny silver. Like you don't see that. So I'm like, man, this is not right. So I ended up having to pay additional money for a rental car. And I had paid more because it was an SUV. So I'm like, he was like, oh, okay, man, I don't know what happened or whatever, but we're going to get it together. So they had my car for like 2 more days, right? Go to pick my car up and it's still not right. And so I go to pick it up and I'm like, okay, I'm in real estate. You're an auto body person. Like, this is what you do every day. Like there's a body shop, nice part of town and stuff. And I'm like, you can't see that this still is not right. And he was like, okay, all right, we'll get it together. It's like, what's the problem? Were you expecting me to say it's okay and save on labor, or is this the quality of your work? What is going on? So at this point, it's costing me more money, and I was trying to support a Black-owned body shop. So he had it 3 times. So after 3 times, it still wasn't right. It was better than the first time, but it still wasn't right. And I just looked at my car and I said, you know what? This is the best that it's going to get. And so I had that experience. And so instead of me pulling the guy to the side and having a conversation with him, like, look, here's what's wrong. Here's what I didn't like about this experience so that you can continue to get support from Black people and clients in general. At that point, I didn't do that. And I was like, see, this is why I can't support, Black people sometimes because the stuff don't be right. So I'm looking at myself like, man, am I calling people back? It's my customer service on point as an entrepreneur looking at myself. But one thing that I'm going to do is I'm not going to publicly bash nobody, no business. I'm not going to hop online and say, oh, they did a terrible job or oh, don't go to them again. But for me, I was like, man, see, I'm just going to go somewhere where I know it's right. And if it's, if it's white owned or whatever, but it's like, I don't want to pay more, inconvenience myself to support somebody that's Black. But what I'm going to do is, and that same thing happened to me. I don't know why auto stuff happens, but I went to get my truck. I bought a truck.
Because you be rushing, you be running late.
Yeah, it be car stuff, man. So I had bought my truck and the owner who, when I bought my truck, you could tell they were a pet owner. So it was like pet hair, like deep down in the seats, and it smelled like pet. But I got a good deal on the truck, though, you know. So, but I wanted to get my truck detailed. Same thing, man. I pull up to get my truck detailed. Nobody greeted me. Like I had to walk deep back into the where they do the work on the cars and stuff and to find somebody. Guy said he had my truck ready. I had to call him, text him to get my truck, and it was just like I could have pulled up to Mike's car wash and did what he did, but I didn't
Mm-hmm.
pull him to the side and be like, man. And this is somebody that I went grew. He graduated from the same high school as I did.
Right.
I didn't pull him to the side and was like, man, this is the issues that I have, so that he
Yeah.
would know. But I don't know if it's because I'm just tired or I just lazy, or you be thinking like sometimes a black man to feel like you sonning him if you pull him to the side and be like, look, here's what you did wrong. It wasn't that. It's like I want to continue to now.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to continue to support you, but also I want to show you like here's all the things that you need to tighten up. We need to tighten up as entrepreneurs. So now I'm going to take that time to, if I see something wrong with the experience or the customer service or the product, I'm gonna actually let them know in a discreet way, whether it's filling out a survey or
Yeah.
putting them to decide if I have the opportunity to. Whereas before, it was like, I'm not going to inconvenience myself. I'm just going to go to where I know it's right,
Right.
if it's white, whatever, but I'm not going to, do that.
I
But
think
that's
it's
one thing that I'm,
important
yeah.
to ask before you give them information too. Like, let them know your intentions.
Mm,
I'll be like, look, hey, I'm a black business owner too. Do you mind if I share what my experience has been with you with the
mm-hmm,
hopes that it'll help you grow so that you can make more money? Like, I think sometimes if you position it that way, it's like, yo, I don't want you to have bad experiences with your customers, because some of your customers won't care and they will get on the internet and talk trash about you, even if you did a terrible job, and you
mm-hmm.
might deserve that. But, just be like, look, I want you to thrive. I want you to win. And for you to win, I need to point out some of the things that I think could have been better about this experience so that we can all win. And I think sometimes, like I said, it goes back to that's that protection piece. So it's like, I want to protect your business. I want to protect my investment, but I also want to protect your business. So I'm gonna pull you to the side, but I will have to let you know my intentions ahead of time and say, yo, I want to share something with you. Are you okay with me sharing, how I felt about this experience, with the hopes that it helps you grow your business? And
That's
then
good.
if they don't want that, it is what it is.
That's
Like, if they
good.
say no, like, okay, I just, hey, I had some things I want you. You don't want them, it's fine. We'll keep it moving, and I'll keep it moving as well. But I think that's an important part, and so I'm glad you mentioned that too, because there can be that tendency for people to feel like you're trying to call them out, but ultimately what you're doing is you're trying to help them protect their business. And I think, letting them know that from the gate, that could be one way to do that.
Support for this podcast is brought to you by Oasis Medical Massage. Oasis Medical Massage with licensed therapist Brigitte Papp provides knowledgeable, specialized care for optimal and specific results. They offer initial sessions, continued care sessions, full body soft tissue massage, as well as pregnancy massages. Brigitte is a skilled massage therapist that uses a wide range of massage techniques tailored to your specific needs. Book your initial session with Oasis Medical Massage at 702 501 3700 or online at oasismedicalmassage.net. Make sure that you mention Mind Rehab when you book to receive $25 off services. Again, that's 702 501 3700 or oasismedicalmassage.net to book your massage today. Oasis Medical Massage, your oasis from pain. So women have hair salons, they have group chats, they are more touch with their emotions, they have more dialogue in their conversations. A lot of times I feel like us as black men, we don't have an outlet or enough outlets that we can talk about, how we feel, or something like this, a podcast or a blog or something like that that discusses our everyday issues, things that we go through, and things that we actually feel, and it's relative. A lot of stuff that I see online, whether it's podcast or something like that, it's not sometimes it's not relative to the black man. So like, do you have any ideas on, from a safety standpoint, of like how to make this world a better place for the black man?
I think, as you mentioned, like the communication piece is one thing. So being able to vent, being able to share, being able to tap into other emotions other than sadness and anger. Like I think those are two emotions that we allow a lot in our community. So I think speaking against people who would try to suppress people who want to share emotions, stop calling people soft, stop making people feel a way if they, if they feel a way, you know,
Mm,
like don't make people feel ashamed of having a full spectrum of emotions, like when we have our children and we look at them and they make us smile, like you can't just be me mugging your kid, like, like you're not allowed to be happy. But then, sometimes we get out in the street and it's like if you look like you too happy, it could be a problem. And that's a bigger issue, is like, a smile is an exhibition of weakness in a lot of our communities. Like you look too happy, people feel like you soft, or they feel like, you an easy target. And
mm,
it's like, man, we got to get over that, especially, once you get back in the house, like it's hard. The world is cold enough, but I need to be able to go home and have conversations with, my guys or my wife or whoever, and not feel like I have to hide from my actual feelings. And so even as, our spouses, like they need to make sure that they're creating an environment for us to share, where we don't feel like we always got to be, mad tough. Like when do I get to express to you, you said something to me last night and that hurt my feelings. You know what I
mm.
mean? Like if you say that to your wife and she laugh at you, it's kind of like, dang, like
It ain't
the
gonna
next
happen. It's
right,
like, nah,
right.
never
Now
again.
I'm mad. So like, it's like you're allowed to express anger, but like when can I just be like, yo, that hurt my feelings when you said whatever you said,
Mhm.
like don't say that. That hurt my feelings, and having the ability to have feelings, and, I think some of that starts at home. It starts when we're kids, when you're a young man. Not even when you're a young man, when you're a little boy. First off, allowing our kids to be little boys. You
Mm,
know, stop forcing them into being young men before they've actually experienced being a boy. It's fine to be a boy,
mm,
um, until it's time for you to not be a boy no more. Then when you're a young man, you have already experienced what it's like to go through that range of emotions. So, and then as a man, you should have that healthy spectrum of emotions where you're not just angry and just sad, but you are, you can be thrilled and happy and, all of the things, like I think letting people express those emotions without feeling like there's some penalty for it is a starting point.
mm. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good, man. Just to have an environment to where you feel safe enough to even like express
Definitely.
your emotions, your
Definitely.
feelings, and that's one of the things that I'm just now learning to do. And like that's
Yeah.
why I feel that sense of urgency to finish my book, man, because it's like, one of the things that I'm being transparent about with my rehab is mental health, man.
Yeah.
For me, I went through a period of depression to where I had personal things going on with my relationship with my son,
Hmm.
took huge losses. With my business, and I got to the point where I legit was like depressed, man. And I think that we need to be more transparent about things that we actually go through,
Mm-hmm.
and how we feel, because a lot of times, sometimes we feel like we the only person going through something, or it is a sign of weakness. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's like what bothered me so much, is I felt like I always had to be strong. Like I had to
Mm-hmm.
still be on my grind, be on my hustle, still be an entrepreneur. Like I see these injustices happening, but my family still need to eat, and I couldn't let it get to me to the point to where I felt, I want to say distraction, but distraction is not the right word. It's like if I focus on it too much, I'm gonna either get angry or I'm gonna get distracted. It's gonna take me
Mm-hmm.
away from my responsibilities. Like to even have, take time out to say, man, this is crazy about what's going on. Stop
Mm-hmm.
for a second and say, okay, what can we do, or what's my responsibility? But
Hey, I wanna put a highlighter on something you just said. You
mhm,
said that you felt like you had to be strong and that you couldn't show the emotions or kind of delve into the other things. And I think that that's part of the challenge is changing how we define strength,
mhm,
because we typically, when we say, man, I got to be strong, it's like it's as if they live on two different worlds. Like
yeah,
strength is here and your emotions are here, but I got to be strong, so I can't have these. And the thing is, you can live in both. You can be strong and be sad. You can be
yeah,
depressed and still be strong.
yeah,
um with Black men having like some of the highest rates, like it's the newest group that has like higher rates of like suicide and depression.
yeah,
Like they are not mutually exclusive. It's not I had to be strong or I was sad. No, I'm sad as hell, but I'm being strong at the same time by pushing through this. Or I don't feel like pushing through this no more. But my strength is the fact that I'm gonna still be here tomorrow to
yeah.
try it again. So I think that we also have to be really aware of like language and how we have been programmed to believe that strength is one thing and everything else is weakness, because that's part of the challenge too, is like reframing strength.
Yeah. Yeah, man. One of my favorite things that I say now, man, is everybody is doing the best they can depending on where they're at in their life. So you may look at somebody and be like, man, why are they reacting that way? Or shake your head at some action, but you never know what that person is going through, what they're dealing with. And I'm being more mindful of it. Even with my relationship with my own father, like,
Mm-hmm.
like I have, as I get older, I just entered into the 40-40 club myself.
Yeah.
Um, my father, me and him have a decent relationship now, but I didn't always have the best relationship with my father. But I understand a little bit more because now I'm kind of like in that position to where I face some of the things that he faced and dealt with some of the things that he dealt with. And it's like everybody's doing the best they can depending on where they're at in their lives, man. But when you're dealing with depression, sometimes when you're dealing with guilt, when you feel like you're sometimes less than, man, you never know. It has an effect on how you react and how you act and how you talk and confidence and everything, man. And so that's one of the things that my part is being just transparent on things that I've been through, things that I'm going through, being open with it. So if I can encourage or inspire somebody else from taking time out to take care of yourself, to go get a massage or go with your wife to get a pedicure, put some
Or
money
go
up.
by yourself to get a pedicure.
Yeah, yeah, man. Oh no,
Never hurt.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, go by yourself. You know what I mean? And a lot of the times I feel like, man, we don't take care of ourselves. We don't take time out uh, to take care of ourselves. A lot of times, like women do. And I mean, sometimes it's like from a financial standpoint, but some of it is just it's okay. A lot of times it's okay to stop and take care of yourself. It's like a lot of times I'm the last person I think about. It's like, okay, kids need
Mm-hmm.
some school clothes, they need some shoes, and they need this and that. And you like the last person, you look around, your shoes busted, stuff, clothes messed up. You know what I mean?
Right.
Now, it's cool to be, you got to be responsible and things like that, man. But yeah, that's what I'm all about, man. Is just being transparent and providing a place where you can be an inspiration, but also I think that that's going to, spark change too, because it's just being an example, man. You can't be a leader until you're an individual first.
Yeah,
And now more and more, I'm realizing that I have to be more of a individual and to do my part, whatever that may
yeah.
be.
I think it to kind of close that out, I think it reminds me, it's been a long time since I've been on a flight, but like when they go through the safety check and they like, like if you lose cabin pressure and oxygen mask drop down, they like, put your mask on before helping others, and I
Hmm.
think that ultimately, if we close out with like what your last question was, like, what do you do as a black man to, help other people or to help your community or your family? And what we got to do is we got to put our mask on first. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We got to make sure that we're in a good place, because if we're not in a good place, we can wreak a lot of havoc. We can bring a lot of destruction. We can mess up a lot of other people in our lives, and mess up for ourselves. If we're not in a good place. So I would say that for me, that's the key right there, is to take care of yourself first and make sure that you're good before you start putting everybody else's mask on.
Hmm. Yeah, that's good. So my last question is, do you think that because Black people have gone through so much, we feel inferior to white people and other races, and that attributes to like the bad things that happen to us, um, like our confidence, negative energy, and things like that? Do you feel like because we've gone through so much, we feel inferior, or that we feel like even hopeless, and like that mental that mindset that we have attributes to actually things that happen to us, or it's just no, it's just racism? Like, you feel like because of the stuff that we went through, it's like, it's kind of like the dog that's been kicked too much or something like that. Do you feel like that contributes to the things that happen to us, the injustices that happen to us, or?
I think it contributes to the disparities in health, if nothing else. I don't think that it makes the majority of the people that I know anyway would not say that they feel inferior. The majority of the people that I would have a conversation with feel like they are overcomers and that they are pushing through a lot of stuff that other people haven't had to push through, that they are resilient and strong and compassionate and beautiful and intelligent and ready to take on the world. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, there's been some level of programming. You know, like if you see an image of a young black man holding an AR-13, there may be one thought that goes through your head, like, why you got that? But then you see the, white kid with the same gun, you might not think anything about it because they've programmed us to believe that that's okay, even though this person is probably more likely to shoot up a school than the other person. But
Mm,
it's like, how have we been sent messages that make us believe certain things? I think that a lot of the media that I ingest is very positive towards, have a very positive perspective of Black people. The Instagram accounts that I follow, Facebook, like I don't see a lot of stuff other people be seeing. I just don't, because I curate everything around me. Like
mm,
I curate my friendships, I curate my partnerships, my relationships, my Instagram feed, my Facebook followers, everything around me I curate. You can't make me watch something on Netflix just because it's on Netflix. I
mhm,
watch what I want to watch and what's going to be beneficial to me. I need things that are going to nourish me, not things that are going to depress me or tear me down or make me feel like I'm less than. So I think that I'm on a healthy diet of things that show Black people in positive lights that are doing amazing things. And so that's what I see. I see a lot of that. And I think that people who sit around and watch a lot of other stuff see a lot of other stuff. And that starts to kind of infiltrate your mind, because those are the things that you're seeing are the things that people are showing. But the fact is just because people put shit on your plate don't mean you got to eat it.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
ultimately, you can't make me feel inferior.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody can do that. So, it might be there. There may be a conversation, and a white supremacy conversation. You feel like I'm inferior, but I don't have to agree at all. Just because you say it, that don't mean nothing. So, uh, yeah, I don't feel that at all. I wake up every day thankful for another opportunity to do this thing. Thankful to be a Black man in America. Every day that I make it back to my house and alive and well and healthy, and my family's doing well, it's like I didn't want some bonus points. So I'm gonna keep doing it until I can't do it. And it would be a perfect scenario to not leave the house and have to wonder if I'm leaving or if I'm coming back. You know, but I don't feel inferior in any capacity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I just feel like oh no, man. When I leave out the house, I say when I pray before I go anywhere, I say I enter this day thankful, grateful, and in eager expectation of the great things that are in store for me today. So
Mm-hmm.
when I leave the house, I don't think like, oh man, I hope I don't get pulled over today.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't enter my mind. I think that has impact on actually what goes on throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
I am more aware of the systematic racism that I face, because it's like
Mm-hmm.
I'm more impacted by the racism that I don't see. That I
Yeah.
got pulled over by the police, and if I do, yeah, if I get pulled over by the police, I'm like, oh crap. But I don't
Yeah.
think.
Heart start beating. You like, I just want to say, what's
Yeah,
up, sir? How you
right.
doing?
Yeah, and so that's one of the things that I'm doing, man, is where I live at. I'm gonna go introduce myself to the chief of police, and me and my wife we put together a Facebook group, and we are actually expanding it. It's called Black Henderson, because where we live at, I see a good amount of Black people. It's like a suburb outside of Las Vegas, but there's a lack of a sense of community in Henderson.
Mm-hmm.
So you see Black people, but everybody kind of like keeps to themselves. It's not a sense of unity. It's not a awareness of where all the Black-owned restaurants are, where the Black-owned businesses are. And so we started just a Facebook group called Black Henderson, and we're encouraging people to join. And I thought about like right now we just started, and we got about maybe 40 people strong on the Facebook group. But if 40 people showed up to a Black-owned restaurant, think of the impact that that would have on their day. And restaurants, their profit margin is really small. So if 40 people pulled up and said, Black Henderson, we're going to go to, it's a restaurant here in Las Vegas, Simply Pure. And if they had 40 customers at one time that was there, and even if you wasn't hungry, you just got something to drink or you got a coffee, and we went live and say, hey, we're at Simply Pure, check it out, it's
Yeah.
professional, it's clean, that will have a huge impact. And that's something that we're going to do, is we're going to continue to grow that group. We're going to continue to spread awareness on uh, Black-owned companies that we've already been to. Like shout out to Simply Pure. Me and my wife had the opportunity to meet the owner. She owns a vegan restaurant down in Container Park in downtown Las Vegas, and she has vegan restaurant. It's professional. The food is good. The customer service is good, and we went to a networking event. I actually met the owner, and she was real cool. But somebody that you already know, pull up there and support them, and then
Yeah.
it's like, yes, we want to support you, but we looking to see to make sure that the quality is there, you
Yeah.
professional, and we're looking at
Send them
ourselves.
a review on Yelp. All of that.
Yeah, making sure that we have our stuff together, and that's another thing too. Like I know you look at it and you're aware of it, but a lot of times we don't do reviews a lot of time, because a lot of times online is a place for people to complain if nothing was wrong, we don't leave a review or we don't
Yeah,
fill
you
out the
better do
survey or
it.
stuff like that. And that's another thing that we can do is start leaving good reviews to where you combating or matching up the negative reviews online and things like that from Yelp and other
Yeah,
things. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, man. So I want to be mindful of your time, man. And so a lot of the things that you talk about is part of the mind rehab process is replacing the negative with the positive. So from a positive mindset and also like what you said, like from Netflix and things like that, like what goes in must come out.
Yeah,
So if you watching negative stuff, it's just gonna have an impact on your life. It's gonna have an impact on the way that you think and man, shout out to all the people. Man, I'm kind of late. I just now start watching The Shy. Man, I love that show, man. Just
yeah, man, it's
the
great.
writing and the point of view and the
Yeah,
experience is like authentic to what life. I mean, I'm not from Chicago, but I'm from the Midwest. What life is like
yeah,
in Chicago, what life is like in the Midwest, and it gives those point of view that's really like, relative, man. She killing it with a lot of the shows and
yeah,
stuff that she has going on, and we
definitely.
need more of that. We need support. So, like, if you can,
Waiting for Atlanta to come back.
yeah,
I just
yeah.
went through and watched both seasons again on Hulu.
Oh,
And
did you?
yeah, yeah. And I'm watching She's Gotta Have It again, both seasons of that.
I didn't
Uh
check that out yet. I'm gonna watch that.
Man,
And,
you gotta check out She's Gotta Have It. And it's
I
got
just,
2 seasons, so yeah, check them out.
yeah, I just finished the Shy, and of course, I watched Insecure. Uh,
Hmm.
I gotta rotate my subscriptions. They got HBO, Showtime, Hulu.
Hey, yeah, I'm gonna jump back on HBO once the Insecure season's over. And just get everything at once. Just hit them in that 7-day trial and then get up out of there.
Yeah. Yep. So, man, again, man, I want to thank you for being on the podcast. Thank you for answering all the questions. Thank you for your contributions, man. And so this has been another episode of My Rehab with our special guest, Alan Woods.
Yep.
I invite everybody, man, subscribe to the podcast. You can check it out on YouTube. You can check it out on everywhere podcasts are podcasted. That's my favorite thing. And let's support each other, man. Also, Alan and his wife, Kyla, have a podcast also.
Uh-huh.
It's called Permanent Plus One. Check that out. And thanks for being on the episode today, Alan. And we will talk to everybody next week.
Holla.